Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to hit you up with a staggering statistic. It's going to make you think for a second. And I can attest to this having lived this life, but 80% of all disease comes from stress. Stress is, I mean, we've heard it before. Stress is a killer. Yeah, it really is. Minimizing that stress is so key, but so is healing from lots of things that we've dealt with when we were younger, past relationships, even as kids, things that we've internalized. What can help you heal? There's many different modalities. One of them is sound. I know it sounds crazy that just certain sounds can help you heal and move your life forward, but it works. It's all about energy. We're going to learn more about that today. She is a sound energy healer of sorts, and she is with us today. Susan Chaney, PhD, is on the program. Welcome. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to learning more in my journey about this whole thing called sound. But I feel, and I know that's a little woo-woo. How can sounds help you heal? I look at it this way. Who doesn't love music? We all love music. We may not all love the same music. There's a reason that we listen to music because it makes us feel a certain way, whether we want to feel happy, whether we want to feel nostalgic, whether we want to feel sad. Sometimes you want to feel sad. It's okay. But that's sound. And that's what we're talking about today. And tell me if I'm wrong, but that's my belief. Is that kind of in line with what you believe in terms of what you do?
Yes, sound can be very transformative. Sound can work on the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body. The When working with clients, I use a variety of different instruments, sound healing instruments, anywhere from tuning forks to Tibetan bowls to crystal singing bowls, gongs, even your voice. And that vibration will go into the body. It helps the client align with it. The cells actually shift so they're in proper alignment. And so you're able to get these shifts that you're looking for overall well-being.
Hmm. Uh, PhD.
Yes.
Tell me about before we even get to how this whole sound thing works and everything involved, your background. Can you share?
Sure. I think as a kid, everyone probably asked the questions, who am I? What am I here to do? What is my purpose? What is the bigger picture here? And so throughout my life, I've always um, been very interested in our own self-awareness and how does that self-awareness, that consciousness expand? How do we keep expanding? And so I think I started off in psychology. And it's like every time I went down that road, something shifted and made me go a different direction. Um, my PhD is actually in mythology and depth psychology. Um, so mythology is kind of looking at the stories, basically the stories that we live by,
Hmm.
not if it's a myth, it may not necessarily be absolutely true, but it's the belief that is resonating within us, if that makes sense.
It does. What was the first time that you realized that sound is transformative?
Oh gosh. I think maybe as a kid, I remember, as a kid, it's like, I'm so bored during the summer. How can you, as an adult, how can you think that you're bored?
Mm.
And I remember going off in a tent, because my mother was busy, and just sitting, laying there, and then listening. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I hear buzzing. I hear a bee buzzing. I hear the crick going by. I hear the sound of the grass waving in the wind. And it's like this powerful experience where, you know, you think, oh, it's silent, but there is so much going on.
I had an epiphany just now
Yes.
that I love music. I'm a music geek. I've played music on the radio since I was 17, got paid from that point forward, and still do. And I never knew what it was about me and music. I would walk around with a radio stuck to my ear, 9 years old, nonstop. And you could play a song, and if they sampled part of another song, I could pick it up in a heartbeat. Oh yeah, they took that from that song, blah, blah. Like a lot of today's songs, they sample from stuff from the 70s and 80s, whatever. But I believe now that the reason I was so into that is it helped me heal from my childhood. Parents got divorced when I was very young. I was bullied as a kid, all of that. I believe that that's probably why that those sounds and music was healing for me. I would gravitate
Mhm.
toward it. That sound reasonable? That just dropped based on what you just said and describing your childhood. I got that. Does that sound like that's possible?
I think it is because as the music comes in, it comes into our body, and our cells actually realign and we come into resonance with what we are wanting to experience. We're drawing that into us. So, however that is and manifests, I think sound really is a powerful transformative experience.
Hmm. Even that all being said, it was 3 years ago that I went to a meditation. We'll call it that. It's called a cacao ceremony. Friend signed
Mhm.
me up. I just
Mhm.
showed up
Mhm.
where they use
Mhm.
chocolate from the tropical rainforest and
Mhm.
all of this. But I sat down along with like 12 other people and somebody hit a sound bowl. Never heard one
Mhm.
before. I don't know. Oh my God. Like from that moment, it was like a hurricane hit me in the face when they struck it. And that was just the beginning of the session. There was no other
Mhm.
sound. It went into a meditation after that. But that was to signify the beginning. I'll never
Mhm.
forget when they went boom. I'm like,
Mhm.
whoa, wow, what was that? It's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
uh, and that is just the beginning of how the sound healing works, right? Different frequencies. And what are some of the instruments that you use to help people?
I use tuning forks. I use weighted and unweighted. The weighted ones are applied directly to the body. And then the unweighted ones are in the biofield or the aura or to work on the chakras. I also use Tibetan singing bowls, and I tend to use those primarily on the body to work with the chakras. And then I also use crystal singing bowls. I use drums, rain drums. Um, Occasionally, I'll use a gong, and then voice, um, a whole lot of things. And there is a science behind it. So there's certain vibrations that work with certain chakras. There's a whole bunch of different um, technical aspects behind it.
How do you know what to do? How do you know what sound to play for somebody based on their situation?
For one-on-one situations, I'll do an energy assessment, and the energy assessment can be done with a variety of different instruments. So a lot of times I'll use a tuning fork, sometimes Tibetan bowls, uh, the crystal singing bowls. I'll use the sometimes the shingshas, the little mini cymbal looking instruments. And when I do that, I'll get usually for each area of the body, you'll get a tone. But when an area is out of alignment, then I'll get a whole bunch of sounds that don't sound, I guess, what you would say is normal. Sometimes the overtones or undertones disappear. Sometimes the sound will drop off completely. There's a whole bunch of different things that the instruments will talk to me to kind of tell me what's going on.
Wow. Um, I want to go back to stress. We started there today. It's amazing how stress can impact your life. Now, we gave a stat that 80% of all disease, everything we're dealing with here, comes from stress. Tell me your thoughts on that.
I would say that probably every single client I have there is an aspect of stress when they come in. And so I'll always work with that first. And that's probably one thing I can absolutely guarantee if a client leaves, they're going to leave basically stress free from the treatment. I have seen a number of clients. I have one client who was so stressed they couldn't even move their head. Uh, so stress is very impactful on our well-being. That's
Yeah.
my experience of what I've seen.
Oh, I get it. I had an ulcer, I don't know, 7 years ago from
Yeah.
stress. I'm very transparent. Last fall, I was dealing with some stress. Some things had popped up. I thought the ulcer was back. I was at the point where I was going to drive to the hospital again, like years later,
Mhm.
all from stress until I figured it out, minimized it, and swore it off. That's never happening again. But to your point, and I'm just illustrating we don't realize what it's doing to us, and it gets to a point where you just live with it. You don't even know you're dealing with it, but it's the same thing that you're going through, and it becomes a way of life, as does the disease, the chronic illness, all of it that manifests because of the stress. We just keep going, just keep going. Once you realize it or heal from it or figure it out, part of it through sound healing. Whoa, big difference. Life changer, right?
Right. Yeah. I think, there's if if you don't realize all the sound that's going on around you that and how it's affecting you, um, I would invite everyone just to do maybe like a 15-minute or 30-minute kind of a relaxation meditation type of thing. Just let everything go and then listen to every single sound that you hear. And you'll realize that you are putting into your subconscious, maybe there's someone constantly doing construction work, cars driving by, all those noises that we try and push out, but on on another level, they're actually affecting us.
100%. I went kayaking the other day, found a deserted beach, sat at the shore. I was still on the kayak, and then the tide had not pulled me out. I'm just floating there, and I leaned back. I found peace, paradise, and heaven, and all of that. And I was like, don't end. This is not going to end until I look. I have to go back. And it
Right.
was, I was like a baby being rocked, and just the sounds of the water. An occasional plane went by, and it was just all right. That'll be gone in a second. But just it's peace. That's what you offer in what you do. That's my takeaway.
Well, that's what I'd like to think. Yes. I mean, everybody leaves happy is what I would say. Yeah.
Tell me about Susan a session, how that works. Can you do it virtually? What somebody might experience? Just kind of lay that out for us.
Well, at this time, I'm not doing it virtually. They're one-on-one sessions. So someone will come in and we'll go, and I have them do an intake. We'll go over how they're feeling right now. We'll go over what they want to work on, what they'd like to shift. And then based on that, I'll work up some protocols that I'd like to work on them with. Sessions are typically an hour. And yeah,
Hmm.
I usually have repeat clients. So
What do people tell you?
that they're amazed, that they're surprised, and that they're very happy with it. I think I've just had some really amazing results. I know for myself, when I was starting getting into this, I caught COVID and my neck was so swollen, it almost looked like I had a goiter. And something made me go to the tuning forks. I immediately did it on my glands, and the pain, I'm not kidding you, within a minute, the pain went away and the swelling started going down. I mean, I'm amazed with the results that I get. And I shouldn't be because I do it quite frequently or working with clients.
It just sounds so easy that all you're, I don't want to minimize anything here, but I have best way I can say is like all you're doing
Yeah,
is playing sounds, certain ones targeted based on your experience and training, and that heals people. Like it's just mind-boggling how just hitting a gong, a sound bowl, tuning fork, but they've been doing this for centuries, and we're still doing it and talking about it because it works.
right. Yes. It is amazing. And sound healing has been around for quite a while. There's a little museum here in Alamosa, and they have these stones. They're a long stone, and they give off a sound. So, and they don't exactly know the date of it, but it is way back. I mean, further than centuries, so
Mm.
millennia.
How do you know what to do to help somebody?
Well, I guess I've had enough practice. So, based on what the energy assessment reveals, and based on what a client says they'd like to work on, there are certain protocols, certain intervals, certain techniques that I utilize to help make shifts. So we start off with a shift in, you know, trying to get the client to the highest emotional state. Because when you're in the highest emotional state, that's when it's the client who's actually the healer. I'm really just the one who is facilitating. And basically, and then there's an intention that is set. So it's making sure that intention statement is set in the positive. And with the intention statement, really, that's kind of what's directing where the vibrations will go. An interesting thing that can happen too is sometimes a client will come in and they say, I want to work on this. But sometimes what happens is really by working on what they're thinking they work on, something else is going to come up that's actually probably deeper inside that's what needs to be shifted.
Hmm. I think it is time to even further illustrate it. We talk about energy because that's what this is. It's energy work. And what is sound? It's energy. What is energy? It's a vibration. When you hit something, there's a vibration coming out. Energetically, we're all vibration. We all vibrate, at a certain level, frequency, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That's the secret. There's the secret sauce, everybody. That's what's going on here. Um, and the whole energy thing, that Einstein guy years ago talked about it. A lot of people weren't listening, but we're listening now. We're kind of
Right.
we're figuring it out how this works. But essentially, that's what you're doing. And by the way, for anybody that just listens to this and says, "Nah, how can that work?" I want to offer a suggestion. Listen to music that has a frequency, and you can better describe that. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify. I think 587 is the frequency of love. I get my numbers, mixed up here. But if you just Google that or look it up on within Spotify, do a search. It's just call it music, a drone sound of that frequency. listen while you're working, all of that, you'll start feeling better, right?
Right. Yes. Actually, the binaural beats is a good one to do because then they have specific frequencies. So, if you want to work on the heart chakra, and actually they have some in there for specific ailments. I was working on a client
Oh,
and she had an issue with her sinuses. And so if you look in there, there are specific ones that will work with, you know, PTSD, whatever issue you
wow.
want to shift. Yeah.
So if you do a search, I'm learning something here. You do a search, you can find those beats or frequency connected music for a certain ailment, whatever it might be.
Hmm. Yes.
Cool.
Lack of
Wow.
sleep. That's a big one.
I didn't even think of that. Wow.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to change up my searches sometime very soon. How does somebody connect with you? Where are you located, Susan?
I'm located in Alamosa, kind of southern Colorado area. I also serve clients in Del Norte. If someone wants to get a hold of me or has questions, probably the easiest thing to do would be to contact me through my website, which is susan@soundsofwellbeing.net.
And that says it all right there. Well-being. That's
Yes.
who doesn't want to feel a sense of well-being? And it starts with sounds. It really, there's other things going on there, but when you really look deep into all of this, and by the way, for those who have hearing impairments, let's say you can't hear, people benefit from sound because the vibration, they feel the vibration. And yeah, I'm not saying you do that. I'm just illustrating the point of energy and vibration. It internally, they receive it internally, and it does make a difference because that's what we all are. We're all vibrating here at different frequencies, right?
Right, that's right. Yes. So even if someone doesn't hear, they're going to get it in their aura, their biofield, they're going to get those vibrations that'll help make the shifts.
Once you start realizing this stuff, for the rest of us, um, it's a game changer. Once you realize the power of energy and how you can heal from so many different things, again, back to stress, got to eradicate that. But a lot of times you need help, and it comes in sound. Fabulous talking with you, Susan. Again, I've been studying this for the last couple of years, number of years. You back things up here of beliefs that I had, and at the same time, learn some new stuff. So fabulous. I'm going to twist your arm one day and get you to do this virtually. So
All right.
more people can benefit. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Looking forward next time we get together.
Great. Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Scott.
Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.